It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
After 6 days of rest, the Boston Celtics were looking to bounce back from back-to-back losses. Somehow, their team got even more banged up during that stretch and came into Dallas short-handed. The Dallas Mavericks were also dealing with injuries. Although it's just Luka, there is no way the Mavs could replace his production. Coming off a huge win against the Bucks behind Porzingis, the Mavs definitely wanted to keep it rolling with KP. Both teams started off slow and relied too much on their jumpers. 5 out of the first 6 shots were jumpers, with the other one being a turnover. The Mavs jumped out in front behind an aggressive KP, who leveraged his jump shot into drives. KP's jump forced the Celtics to switch. Brunson jabs to get Tice off balance before nailing the 3. KP pump fakes, drives hard to the rim, and draws the foul. The Mavs had some great ball movement as well. Finney-Smith hits Hardaway Jr., who hits Brunson across the court, and another extra pass. KP leverages his jump shot again, and no one can stop him on a drive. With more touches, KP became a more willing passer. The pass was off target, but this will make him even more dangerous on the offensive end. Same thing again. At 7-3, no one is intercepting his passes, especially an alley-oop to Powell, and the Celtics had to foul. Instead of settling for a pull-up jumper, he gets right into the paint and forces the rotation. This was a great pass, hitting Hardaway Jr. in rhythm for 3. Defensively, they're forcing anyone but the Celtics stars to beat them. Look at how Hardaway tags the roller and closes out late on Williams. They also had a big guarding Brown, and it worked wonders. On the double screen, KP and Kleber switches, and the Celtics don't get an opening. Since Kleber was recovering, Tice seals them off and got the baseline open. This should have been a layup, but the Mavs had a lanky Finney-Smith on Kemba and blocks the shot. On the other hand, the Celtics struggled offensively due to 2 things. With 2 of their best 3 passers out with injuries, the Celtics lacked another playmaker besides Walker. As a result, they settled for jump shots, and it also led to 15 turnovers last night. The second thing was Daniel Tice. Personally, I love what Tice brings to the starting lineup, especially at full strength, but he was a step slow against an athletic Mavs frontcourt. Tice hesitates to shoot and eliminates any opening they created earlier. Off the handoff, he tried to carve up space down low, but Powell got there before him, and he travels. Off the quick drag screen, Tice gets the lob pass. With Powell facing the wrong way, a power dribble should have led to a score that deep in the paint. Kemba settled down to Celtics and constantly attacked the basket, generating easier shots. With the option of 2 screens, Kemba uses the Brown screen, which was only a diversion. The Mavs switch, but Hardaway was so concerned with cutting off the lane that he became 2 steps behind on the second pick and roll. Notice how Kanter slips the screen since Hardaway Jr. was trailing, which pulls Powell away, and Kemba hits the floater. Here's the exact same play. The Mavs adjusted, but this time, Kanter makes contact on the screen, creating more space for Kemba. A snake dribble puts Powell in a tough spot, and Kemba hits the jumper. Kanter provided a great spark off the bench, since the Mavs couldn't match his physicality. He didn't have the most efficient shooting game, but his screens got Kemba open on multiple possessions, allowing them to tie it up after the first quarter. The Celtics jumped out in front immediately at the start of the second quarter by letting Kanter go to work down low. Then a pick and roll sucked in Powell, leaving Kanter wide open underneath the basket. But then the turnovers kept them from extending their lead. That's when the Mavs struck back behind KP and Curry. Curry gives it up early, then cuts backdoor. They flow into another handoff with KP lifting on the wing, and Curry in the corner. The handoff forces Langford to tag the roller, but Ojale doesn't realize he needed to zone up the weak side. Curry receives the pass, and that's all the daylight he needs. The Celtics were ready to ice the pick and roll. Powell flips the screen at the last second, taking Ojale out of the play, leaving Kanter on an island, and Curry hits the jumper. After missing his first few, KP finally hits a deep trailing 3. He hasn't been the most efficient in the post, but he was feeling it last night without Marcus Smart guarding him. The big reason why the Mavs built a 10-point lead is because of their defensive adjustment. They were still forcing anyone but the Celtic stars to beat them, and KP over-rotates to pack the paint, but Ojale couldn't make him pay. They also doubled Kemba in pick and rolls, and he makes the mistake of not giving it up early. Remember the play in the first quarter where Tice sealed off Kleber? Kleber saw it coming, and puts in the effort to get around Tice. If Brown got by Finney-Smith, he would have been there to help, but they forced a turnover anyways. The Celtics made a late run in the quarter by keeping things simple, and had Tatum and Brown attack in the mid-range area. Without Finney-Smith, no wings could guard Tatum, who nails the fading jumper. The Mavs are having a block party, and by letting Brown go one-on-one in the post, their rim protectors can't rotate over in time. The Celtics defense was inconsistent last night, and Brad Stevens said it was awful.
I thought we were awful defensively.
They did string together a few stops during their run. On the pick and roll, 3 Celtics collapsed on Curry. Tatum's rotation was correct, since his man was way above the 3-point line. It would have been better if Brown rotated instead of Williams, who has the tendency to overhelp. The main problem was that seeing as Williams helped on the drive, Brown didn't zone up the weak side, but great hands by Williams to knock away the pass. The Mavs kept their lead in the third behind a man named Jalen Brunson. His awareness of where his defender is was the reason KP had time to get the shot off. The Celtics defenders miscommunicates. Brown was expecting a switch, but Ojale was icing the pick and roll. A change of direction gets Tice to over-rotate, leading to a Powell slam. However, the Celtics made another run halfway through the third, fueled by Kemba. He attacked early and got the Mavs cross-matched. The defense couldn't hedge, and Kanter seals off KP to stop the block party. The Celtics set their screens higher, which stretches out the defense. Both Powell and Curry picks up Kemba, while Kanter rolls to the rim. Kemba gets caught in the air when Jackson correctly rotates down, but they move the ball well, and Williams ties Ben Simmons' career-made threes. They also continue to attack the Mavs' weak defenders, letting Williams go to work down low and occupy their rim protectors. This carried over into the last period. Brown got Brunson on him at the free throw line, and he just shoots it over him. Again, with KP and Kleber on the perimeter, a cut and seal gets Brown deep in the paint and scores before the help comes. With Stevens as a coach, there'll definitely be a great after-timeout play. They got Tatum off a pin down into a handoff. Kemba sets the Spain pick and roll back screen, which occupies both Finney-Smith and Powell, letting Tatum get all the way to the rim. Kemba joined the fun as well, and check out how he's looking at the legs. With Finney-Smith higher than Tice, Kemba knew he won't get an opening, and that Finney-Smith will go over the screen. He slowly backs up, and this baited Finney-Smith into moving higher, and Kemba attacks right when his feet gets above Tice. Because the screen was higher, Kemba can step into a pull-up 3. The Mavs shot themselves in the foot when they stopped playing team basketball. Since midway through the third, the Mavs have been ignoring the open man. In the pick and roll, Wright was basically covered by 3 defenders, and he sees that Kleber is lifting if Williams tags the roller. Instead of passing it early, he opts for a contested floater. With Porzingis rolling most of the game, he got a lesser defender on him, but they went away from it and it didn't end well. KP rejected the pin down, which gets Kleber open, but he hesitates. He doesn't hit KP in the post and shoots it when Kanter recovers. After getting ignored, KP had no intention of passing out of the post, even with Wright and Curry decently open. On this play, Hardaway Jr. sets a back screen for KP. Instead of cutting to the paint, he flares out and calls for the ball, which stymies the offense. The Celtics basically ran away with this one in the fourth, until a last-minute scare. Wright got right to the rim, and the Mavs pressed right away. They forced a turnover, and with the broke-off 3, the Mavs scored 5 points in 7 seconds. On the Knicks inbound, the Celtics almost turned it over again, but they make their free throws and took this game. The Mavs put up a good fight against one of the better teams in the East. They must be happy with how KP is flourishing as their first option. The Mavs struggled offensively halfway through the third, and you can see how much they're missing Luka's magic. I'm a little concerned over the wing defense, especially how Brown and Tatum bullied their perimeter defenders. This might be a foreshadowing defensively if they match up with the Clippers in the playoffs, where the game slows down with more isolations, but this is a matter of personnel instead. This game was a lot closer than the Celtics would have wanted, especially without Luka. They made some great adjustment offensively throughout the game, and although their defense was inconsistent, they held the league's best offense to just 103 points. Stevens' post-game comments might be exaggerated, but it'll keep the players accountable and tighten up the defensive rotations. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. The Twitter poll for tonight's game should be up, so vote for the game you want me to break down. Please give this a like rating down below, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.